It's podcadzo.
And welcome back to a podcadzo, the official companion podcast to the well-known indie rock band Cadzo. Everyone, Quincy, aka Chief OG.
You're not even gonna edit in air horns anymore
I just do that to remind myself where to put
do it.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
That'll be hugely helpful later when I'm editing this. Otherwise, I'd have no idea where to put the air horn sounds.
Okay, I'm glad they're going in.
Quincy, first, before we forget, let me say happy belated birthday.
Happy belated.
This is sort of Quincy's birthday episode
Appreciate
special, even though his birthday was a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
A couple weeks is but a couple minutes.
We tried to get him on the day of his birthday, but you were too busy on your birthday to record a podcast episode with us.
That's not my fault, man. They be working me.
You were hitting the trainer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. You're so dedicated. Have you noticed?
Oh yeah, it's hard not to notice.
Appreciate
dude.
that, y'all.
Respect. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm tired, but I'm good.
What are you so tired from?
Man, life be lifing, you know? Just work.
Yeah.
All the work travel, all the new responsibilities I have with my role. It's like, it's taking a lot of my time. So
No doubt.
there's that. Then I got like several different things I'm working on DJ wise, right? I got House on Tap, shameless plug. Go check it out, July 6th. But House on Tap's doing really well. And so I'm trying to build that up to become a thing, become a movement, because the concepts is happening at in different locations in the nation. So like Dallas is doing one.
Cool.
Yeah, Dallas is doing one. LA is doing one. Venice. Yeah, there's this whole movement of like day parties and stuff like that is just blowing up to be this thing. So, yeah, trying to build that here for Fort Collins.
So it's like a actual network. There's like an official House on Tap thing. Are you talking to the other people doing it?
No. So the ones that are happening in other parts of the country are like at coffee shops, rather. So they're like daytime coffee house sets. Whereas this one, I was gonna do a coffee shop, but then I'm like, nah, that's too cliche. Everyone else is doing it. What do people in Colorado like other than coffee? Beer. Beer.
Micro brews.
Yes.
Exactly. And so I was like, well, instead of doing it at a coffee shop, let's do it at a brewery. Let's call it a clever name. House on Tap. Boom. And now it is what it is.
Oh, so you came up with House on Tap? Because that is a great name.
It is a great name.
Yeah.
And you've done how many so far?
We've done two.
So
the first one was at Funkworks Brewery in here in Fort Collins. I was expecting like maybe 50, 60 people to show up. We had about 200 easily.
Yeah.
And so
And that was the first one.
yeah, that was just the first one. And so I'm like, okay, it's well received. People really want it. And so that's why we did episode 2, because I got so many different instant messages saying, when you going to do the next one? Are you going to do it once a month? Things like that. And so I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do it once a month, I got to like do something for that month now. And so shortly after, I think it was like 3 weeks, we planned out, I did episode 2 back at Funkworks, and even more people showed up. I think we had like over 250 and doubled Funkworks' revenue. So it's like there's something to whatchamacallit. There's something to these day parties.
The symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
It helps DJs, it helps businesses.
Exactly. So yeah.
Yeah, man. It's an awesome thing.
Tell us a bit
Congrats.
about episode 3, because it's coming up and it's at a new location, which is a bigger location, a newer location for Fort Collins. But
Yeah. So episode 3 is happening July 6th. That one's happening at Breckenridge Brewery. This is going to be like a little hybrid indoor-outdoor type vibe. And yeah, we had to get a bigger location because we packed Funkworks out so much. They were like, it's crazy because I was looking at the staff and the way the line was kind of wrapping around the building to get alcohol and then to come dance is insane.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had to get a bigger venue. So Breckenridge is going to be, different vibe, but I think it'll pan out. I think we'll pack it out too to where I'm forced to get a place like New Belgium, honestly. So.
Where is the
Come on, New
Breckenridge
Belgium.
Brewery?
You know where the what was it? The Sweetwater Brewery was?
No.
By it's like right next to
Odell's, yeah.
Okay.
On that.
They're in the brewery
strip,
district.
The brewery district, yeah. It's right on the corner of. What is that name?
I'm never down there anymore.
Lincoln.
Is that
Lincoln.
Red Truck place still there?
Red Truck is gone. That's the building that Breckenridge is in now.
So it was
It was
Sweetwater
Red-
after Red Truck?
It was Sweetwater after it was Red Truck.
I think they said it was like Fort Collins Brewery, then it was Sweetwater, then it was Red Truck.
No, I think Red Truck was before Sweetwater
Okay.
because the Sweetwater people bought the company that was Red Truck.
Okay.
And I mean,
What,
Red
through
Truck
like
beers were
one of
never
those
incredible,
corporate
but
merger type situations that
like kind of a corporate merger, but minus the corporate. Just
what
a
through
merger.
like one of those merger situations?
Yes, you got it. We're finally there. Well, yeah, no, that's awesome, and I think it's cool too because like in Fort Collins specifically, there's Blast and Scrap, which kind of they obviously help out a lot of DJs too at the Blast and Scrap organization, but it's largely band focused. And there's like the kind of house show scene, metal scene in Fort Collins. There's not necessarily someone pushing for like a unified house DJ kind of scene. So it's cool to finally have someone leading the charge there.
Doing the groundwork.
Yeah, putting in the work, even though it sounds like a lot of work and it's not super easy on top of everything else going on. It's definitely a very worthwhile endeavor for all the local DJs out in Fort Collins.
The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, even though it's been a minute now, was that Aggie show.
Oh, man. Man, talk about a vibe. I mean, first off, thank you to the Aggie for even getting me on that. I was happy about that. But Latrell, that happened May 3rd at the Aggie. Getting to play for a DJ that's on my favorite label that I'm really trying hard to get signed on to is pretty lit.
Juna Deep.
And Juna Deep.
Was that the first? Didn't you open for a Juna Deep DJ before Latrell? Or was that your first?
That was my first, technically. Yeah, that was my first, yeah. The reason why I say that is because LeYouth used to be on In Juna Deep. Now he's on This Never Happened with
Okay,
LeYouth.
that's what I'm
So
thinking.
technically, yes, but
That one was also the Aggie, right? LeYouth. LeYouth.
But yeah, no, it was great. I mean, the crowd was great. I got to play like a really deep emotional set for it, and I think like that's what I wanted. I wanted to play that set very badly, just because that's the sound that I'm trying to portray to my fans, right? So, yeah, it was a great fucking show. I want to do that shit again. Honestly,
Dude. I was supposed to be there. I had tickets, but I was in Miami.
Wussed out.
Well, any chance you've seen the Apple TV Plus special Bono Stories of Surrender?
No,
Damn it.
Is that on your radar at all?
maybe.
You know Bono.
You don't have to lie.
You know Bono?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
He put out a memoir, what was that, like a year ago?
A couple years ago now.
And this is like if his memoir came to life.
He's doing a one-man dramatic live
Dramatic/comedic.
reading of his biography. And it's the most Bono thing you could ever imagine. So pretentious and self-serving, but also amazing and moving, emotional.
If you let it be.
If you can tolerate Bono at all.
It's not one of those things where anyone would be necessarily
if you can't
moved by it.
tolerate Bono, it's pretty. So my dad was in the U2 tribute band, as we were just talking about. And when the book came out, I remember, I think I got it for him or my mom bought it for him for a holiday. And I was going to borrow it from him after he read it. So I kept like asking if he was done with it and what he thought of it. And then one day he was like, I couldn't get through it. It's insufferable. I can't read anymore. And this is a guy who, you know, was in a U2 tribute band, is a U2 fan more so than other people. But Bono is not, he's an acquired taste. Certainly.
Like drinking battery acid is an acquired taste.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's going to be bad for you every time, but you might grow to like it at some point.
But if you're into it, you hate it still some other time.
Yeah, that was how I felt about it. It was a 50-50. It was either something completely irredeemable and unforgivable or something barely redeemable enough to like make what just happened okay.
Yeah. The opening of it, you should check it out. I'm curious what you'll think of it as a non-Bono fan. But the opening is tough to get through. I'd say the cringiest part.
I think I texted you about 6 minutes into it and was like, this is fucking brutal.
Yeah. I don't know if I can make it.
I don't know if I'm going to make it through this. I did take about a 2-hour break, which helped a lot, but I did finish it. I think because I took a break right in the middle.
I took a couple breaks too. Couple intermissions.
Oh,
it's just
man.
a lot. It's intense.
Okay.
The intermission in the actual piece of film itself made me so mad that I was like, I do not know if I want to see this end. Like,
The third act.
instead of it just being an intermission, because, you know, like stand-up comedians or, you know, whoever films their stage performances in general, they'll like film the bit where the show stops, the intermission, and then it's just like them chilling out or like hanging out for a couple minutes, and you get like the vibe of the backstage, you get a vibe of the audience, and it's kind of constructive for the overall narrative of the film. This is like the opposite. It's like an intermission from Bono sucking himself off to suck himself off a little bit more
while looking in the mirror.
while looking like candid and looking like a bad boy who doesn't care. He's just like, man, you're so fucking cool. I love you. And then it's like, all right, back to talking to a chair.
And this is a 65-year-old man too, we should mention.
Yeah. Who has really no previous, not any large enough previous experience with acting or writing or producing or directing to like throw together a film.
They did do Spider-Man.
They wrote a soundtrack.
Yeah. What was that movie called? Into the Darkness?
Something like that. Become the Darkness. Enter the Darkness.
I was born in the darkness.
I was born in the dark.
Batman.
But yeah, it's bad. It's good and it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard.
I'll have to check it out.
You been watching any TV series? Any movies that you can recommend?
Sinners.
Oh, dude, I haven't seen Sinners yet.
Sinners.
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
You haven't heard of it? It's Michael B. Jordan, Josh Allen's wife.
Yep.
What's his name? Or her name?
Josh Allen's wife. Shit.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. But it's a musical, right?
No.
There's singing in it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's.
Yeah. So a musical.
I don't know if that's how that works.
Vampire musical. Vampire horror movie.
Yo.
Not really anyone in it that I've ever heard of besides Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld.
Hey, that's it.
Haley Steinfeld?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's Josh Allen's wife. You guys follow Clickhole on Instagram?
I do, yeah.
One of my favorite Clickholes was a picture of Michael Jordan. So they just post pictures of celebrities and then like put fake quotes over the celebrity. And the one for Michael Jordan was, how is it allowed that there's someone just named Michael B. Jordan, another famous person named Michael B. Jordan? I literally call the police every day about this. That's what I think about all the time. Michael Basketball Jordan.
Michael Basketball Jordan. That's wild.
Yeah. I've been watching, speaking of Apple TV, I've been watching The Studio. That one's worth checking out.
Is it?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
What is it about?
It's Seth Rogen, and he plays like a studio executive in it. And it's just about this studio, this Hollywood studio that's like kind of old and a little bit artsy, trying to survive
Okay.
in the modern media landscape. Pretty entertaining.
My mom said she didn't really like it that much.
Okay. I'll have to talk to Amy about that then.
Damn.
I think she said it started out okay, but then she just doesn't like stuff that's super frantic.
Yeah, it's very frantic.
It's like a very frantic.
Have you seen Uncut Gems?
Yes.
It's like the stress level of Uncut Gems. Maybe a little less
That's a
stressful
lot.
and definitely more lighthearted, but it's like that frantic.
That's a lot.
It's definitely an experience. Will elevate your heart rate.
Uncut Gems is so good.
Uncle John. You guys remember that one?
No.
It's Julia Fox. She was in that movie, you know? And she was like, I was Benny Softy's muse for Uncle John's. What's up with Julia Fox?
I don't know.
This was all a long con to get us to talk about Kanye.
Okay. You mean yay?
Yay, this was a long
Yay.
Kanye too.
I read like an hour ago or an hour and a half ago that he changed his name again to Yay.
I support rappers doing that. That used to happen a lot more, not just in rap, but in music in general. You had John Cougar Mellencamp, John Mellencamp. You had P. Diddy, Puff Daddy,
Puff Daddy,
Puffy,
Puffy.
Snoop Dogg, Snoop Lion later on.
Yeah, but that was
short-lived.
that was like a one-time thing.
It was very half-assed too. But do you
It
remember
wasn't
that?
half-assed.
That's true. He did commit. He
went
had that
to
whole
Jamaica.
documentary.
Yeah, no,
I
the
remember watching that.
documentary is honestly really good. I feel like he was very respectful of the culture.
Yes,
He did a very good job with that record.
a very well job.
Very well job.
Very well job indeed. Any new music you've been listening to?
Nah, I mean, just new like Above and Beyond. They've been dropping some tracks lately. No, nothing. I want to say nothing really new. Just
Yeah.
been listening to classics and stuff.
I think we maybe talked about this at the office, but do you know Justice?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did I tell you I saw Justice at Red Rocks? It was super dope. It was the coolest show.
How the
I
hell
ran
did
to.
you get tickets to go to that show?
I bought them back in like December when they were on pre-sale. So on kind of a whim and forgot I had them until earlier this month.
That's
Oh,
always
yeah,
so
Justice,
fun.
yeah.
With concert tickets, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to a show this week.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I just say that because me and Sarah were struggling to get those tickets. Well, Sarah got tickets. I did not.
She went to Justice? Sarah did?
I think so. Or at least, yeah. I think she said she sold them. She sold them.
How did you get in on the pre-sale? Are you like part of the
Because that
mailing
shit sold
list?
out quick.
I think I was at the bar with some people, and I think someone there had a code or something. Password.
Nice.
I don't really remember.
Lucky.
Like I said, it was on a whim. A few drinks were consumed beforehand that, lowered my inhibitions around it. They were so expensive.
Had
They
you
were
not
like,
have had those drinks, would you have bought those tickets, do you think?
Not right then and there.
Probably would have waited.
I probably would have waited.
And then not been able to get 'em?
Yeah, and then not.
How was the show?
It was crazy. It was so good. I don't go to a lot of EDM shows anymore. It's been a minute since I've seen something like that at Red Rocks, but it was by far the best light show I've ever seen. And the coolest set list ever. Like obvious lights are going to be synced to the music, of course, but not going above that, like the narrative arc that they managed to create just through the set list and like through the light show was really cool.
That's awesome.
Took you on a journey. But we were talking before we started the pod about some like UK garage stuff. The band that opened for him, or the group that opened for him, was called Fucker. I forget how you spell it, but Fucker. And they're from the Netherlands, I believe. This Dutch 4-piece that was like kind of like the Prodigy, but a little bit more modern. But it was like real like UK garage, like Euro dance stuff, and they were great, really fun. I listened to some of the music beforehand. It wasn't like getting super into it, so I wasn't sure if I was gonna like them, but live they were so fun. It had a great vibe. Female vocalist, real like 90s style, and she was like hopping around on stage. And it was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wasn't it super fucking rainy for that?
Yeah.
Were you in like a rainstorm?
It's
the whole
rainy
time?
for every Red Rock show I go to. This one was weird though because it didn't rain that much, but it was just so foggy, which made
misty.
things way cooler. It was misty.
I thought it was raining that day.
It did rain,
Okay.
but it didn't like dump
Remember seeing
necessarily.
one? I'll see if I can find it. You sent a picture out that it looked very. Ominous. It looked like it was complimentary to the vibe of the show.
It was.
Did Justice play Neverender?
Yeah. They did like a whole.
Oh,
Yeah, that was it. What was cool about their set is they didn't. I guess they did play Neverender all the way through, but they like chopped it up afterwards. So as like an interlude, they kept going back to like hooks from Neverender.
Okay.
And then they did the same thing with Dance, where like Dance was just kind of teased throughout the whole set, and they would keep going back to it. And yeah, but that was. What's the best Red Rock show you've ever seen?
Shit. There's so many.
I wish that physical concert tickets were still a thing because, like, when my mom and dad would go to concerts in like the 80s and 90s, they would save all the tickets in like a scrapbook.
Yeah.
And so they can just look through it to remember all the shows they've been to. I don't remember, like, there's probably at least half the shows that at any given time at Red Rocks, especially, that I just don't remember that I went to them, you know?
Well, they still do physical tickets for Red Rocks. You just have to pay an extra.
You have to, like,
10.
pay for them, and then you have to go to the, like, window and get it. Or I guess you could have it mailed to your house.
Yeah. I remember the first Red Rock show I went to, they mailed it to my house. But yeah, I would say my favorite one is Armin van Buuren last year. It was like the trippiest light show I've ever seen.
Really?
Seriously.
I don't really know him.
He is, speaking of Dutch, he is a Dutch producer. He made, you probably heard the song like a long time ago, This Is What It Feels Like. That's his song.
I probably recognize it. Can't think of it right now. Pull it up, Julian.
You probably heard of it because it was like a really big top 40 song back in the day. But yeah, no, he's like a legend in the trance DJ scene, and yeah, his show at Red Rocks was amazing. Like he was playing so many of his classics, which I really love. Like This Is What It Feels Like. But yeah, no, his show was good. Really, really good.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of good shows at Red Rocks. Do you like Arctic Monkeys at all?
Yep.
I saw Arctic Monkeys on the AM tour at Red Rocks, which was pretty cool. I don't know it. I don't know it.
Really?
Not yet. Maybe I'll recognize the chorus.
I think I've heard this. I think I've heard this at
Who
work.
does vocals on it?
I forget.
Trevor Guthrie.
I think I've heard this before.
Yeah, it's a really old song. I think first I heard it was like 2012, 2013.
I guess this is a blind spot in my pop music knowledge.
Damn, I thought you
that
knew
I
it all.
I was almost there. Thought I almost knew every song ever made.
Every pop song.
Yeah, AM Arctic Monkeys was a cool show to see. Kind of weird thing I have with Red Rocks. Mine and Julia's first date was seeing Tom Petty at Red Rocks. My parents had tickets and they couldn't go for some reason, and they were nice and they're like, no, Julia and I just started dating. They're like, why don't you take Julia to Tom Petty? So we saw Tom Petty, and then a couple
Julia was
years
probably
later,
like, who's this old bitch?
yeah, pretty much. We were like the youngest people in our section by a good 30 years. And then we saw Kings of Leon later on with my parents again. I don't know if I paid for Kings of Leon tickets, but they had extras, so we tagged along with them. And that was the night Tom Petty died.
Oh, wow.
They announced it on stage.
Holy shit.
Because he was like touch and go that whole day, if you guys remember. There was like there was a couple
There were a
false
couple
reports
false
that he had
reports,
died, and then it was
yeah.
like, no, he's alive, and then there was like a false report that he was like pulled out of whatever it was,
Pulled off life support.
and then they officially announced at the show, and then I believe Kings of Leon did a Tom Petty cover right after that, but
Nice.
could be making that up.
Heartfelt.
Yeah.
I saw Kings of Leon at the Vertigo tour. They
They opened for you too?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
2004 was a good year for them.
Did you ever get into them?
No,
No.
not really.
I was into Kings of Leon for a little bit.
Something about the way the dude sings always kind of pissed me
Yeah.
off.
You know that band? Sex on Fire?
No.
Your sex is on fire.
Well, well, well.
Talk
Down.
about some radio fucking. That was just like radio filler
Yeah.
for all the 2000s.
Well, what's weird about Kings of Leon is they had so much indie cred for like the first couple of years. They were like being called the Southern Strokes and all this stuff. And
So
then they
stupid.
sold. No, I mean that album is good, but
Yeah, no, it's
from an indie like purist perspective, sold out so hard.
yeah, nothing
Just,
about
like,
it is indie at all.
went so mainstream immediately. But hey, good for them. That's all I can say.
Yeah, they sure made it. They sure made it farther than I thought they would. They stayed relevant for a long time.
Yeah. It's I like their early albums, but I feel like they were just kind of desperate to find, like, I feel like if the Strokes hadn't been as big as they were, Kings of Leon would not have had success early on. They were just kind of desperate to find like the next version of the Strokes, and the whole
Yeah.
Southern Strokes thing was marketable. Easy.
Mm-hmm. It's listenable, but it has like Southern twang.
Mm-hmm. You were a bit getting outside of dance music and now talking about rock music. You were a little bit on the like pop punk emo tip a little bit when around that time, or am I making that up completely?
I never had a pop punk.
I thought you were like in Blink or something.
No, MCR.
MCR.
Yeah, MCR. Yeah.
Was that it from that era?
Pretty much.
So you missed like all the indie stuff like the Strokes and
Yeah, I really wasn't into indie music back in the day.
mm-hmm. It was mostly hip hop then too, right?
Yep.
My Chemical Romance and rap.
Pretty much.
That's what you blasting.
Pretty much.
Can't argue against that.
Most of that indie doesn't hold up.
Have
It's
you
all
guys
super
seen
boring now.
speaking of MCR, the All American Rejects tour thing they're doing? Do you remember
Yeah.
All American Rejects?
I know about them.
Yeah.
But I haven't really listened to them.
They haven't
They
toured
put
in
out
like
a new song.
I haven't heard the new song.
It's not very good.
Really?
I didn't think it was. Kind of a hater though.
But they've been like huge on TikTok lately because they, for their reunion tour, they're just playing college house parties. Because like they were like the ultimate like college bands
Gotcha.
back in the 2000s. And now they're dudes in their like late 40s, and they're doing I guess mid 40s.
And the lead singer just started an OnlyFans too.
Did
Whoa,
he?
what?
He's a good looking man.
He said it's going to be full frontal rock and roll.
Yo.
He's a good looking dude. You guys remember House Bunny, that movie?
No.
I just always remember the dude from All American Rejects was in that movie, and he was like the hot college dude that the girl was into. That's with Anna Faris.
Oh.
And she plays a Playboy bunny who like
think I might have
ages
seen
out of the
that,
Playboy
yeah.
mansion. So then she becomes the house mother of a sorority.
Okay. Interesting.
But it's like the nerdy sorority full of girls that don't know they're hot yet. And yeah, a classic. Is this the new All American Rejects?
It's not horrible. It's just not great.
It will do. It will do for starting off a
Passes the
reunion
test.
tour. Yeah. But yeah, it was, I mean, the life cycle of viral content now is so crazy. It was like a big thing for a couple of days. There was, maybe people are still talking about it.
People
on the
are still
internet.
talking
I'm
about it,
sure
but
they are. It
it's
just fell out of my algorithm.
Yeah, it's in that clique still.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're kind of hopping on the bandwagon of like that 2000s emo, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it was such a
being
revival.
Trendy again, yeah. But
It's
not
weird.
all the bands hit
That's
though.
that's been going on for like 5 years
a
now.
long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's because everyone our age is now slowly starting to take over control of the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Everyone older than us is slowly dying off, or quickly dying off, I guess I should say.
That's interesting. I just watched this YouTube documentary that I can't recommend enough. Let me look up the dude's name. But he made it was called, one second, let me pull this up. You guys fill the air for a second.
To bring it back to Red Rocks for a second, because no one ever asked me what my favorite Red Rocks show is. I don't have one. So there we go.
Why don't you have one?
Because I can't remember what it would be, honestly.
It's called Cultural Nihilism and the Rise of the Grifter by Jarrett Moore. And he makes a lot of really good points in it, but it's basically...
I forgot what we were talking about.
One of the themes in it was cultural stagnation and how there's an old guard in place in the media and just, across all forms of entertainment that are so money obsessed and so risk adverse that they're never willing to take a chance on new talent, on new artists, on new creative visions. And instead, we'll just cast the same people in every movie that have been in every movie for the past 30 years. And the rate at which, this is something we've talked about on the podcast a lot, but the rate at which culture moved along, in the 1900s, how there were definable eras from the 70s to the 80s and all these identifiable subcultures in there. Mm-hmm. We've now hit such a plateau with culture, and everything is just stagnant. And I forget what point it was about the pop punk and emo music entering the zeitgeist. And it's just that's just another, instead of anything new or any resurgence for the last 10 years, we've just been, we're now in the era of grunge being cool again. And any band or artist that gets even an ounce of success will be because they're playing off of grunge nostalgia. And they'll get a little bit of the spotlight, but mostly we'll just be listening to the same grunge music that we were 30 years ago, And it's disturbing when you think about it. And he brought up this great point that I thought encapsulated it very well. He said Robert De Niro's first breakthrough role was as Marlon Brando's character in The Godfather 2. He played the young Godfather, the young Vito Corleone. And it was a cool moment because it was, that role was possessed by Marlon Brando in the last movie. It was kind of changing of the guard. Here's this, bright new star, Robert De Niro. And then cut to a couple years ago, Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese have the opportunity to do the exact same thing. They're making a big gangster movie called The Irishman. And who do they cast to play young Robert De Niro? Robert De Niro.
So wild.
And so that was a good encapsulation of his point. It's they know that Robert De Niro works and they'd rather just use this bullshit de-aging CGI technology than, take a risk on any new talent.
Yeah. Which I think as a viewer of certain content, I honestly kind of appreciate that more sometimes with how far CGI has come. It's more realistic for the storyline for the young version of they did.
But the Irishman was not at all. They made his face look younger, but he still moved like a decrepit old
Well, I was going to say they did the same thing in Righteous Gemstones with John Goodman, where he plays a younger John Goodman a lot, and the CG works really good on the face, but not so great on the body. So it can kind of take you out of it a little bit. But I appreciate the effort of the continuity. Because
in Righteous Gemstones, it makes more sense, but in The Irishman, that's a Robert De Niro didn't look anything
Netflix
like Marlon Brando.
Also.
He was going to age into Vito Corleone. Yeah, it cost so much money.
They could have afforded another guy.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. And give someone else, an opportunity.
I mean, why
no one's going to lose the story as long as the acting is good and the direction is good. No one's going to be like, that doesn't look anything like Robert De Niro.
Yeah. I mean,
they could if they went so far outside, but if they found a dude vaguely Italian looking who could sell it,
yeah,
everyone's going to be fine with that.
Yeah. I guess to argue that it's for creative continuity is one thing, but to just do it to maintain actor integrity or whatever, or to like keep the circle small is a different thing.
Yeah, and this
Depends
is
on the angle.
also well tread territory, and Hack pointed this by now, but like the amount of remakes that we do, the amount of just sequels and carrying on storyline that no one cares about anymore, like no one taking risks. I mean, there's like places like A24 that are still doing stuff. There's a lot of good art, is the point. But what the mainstream is shoving down our throats is just so stale.
And to take it to music for a second, like we talked about this on our Grammys episode, but the fucking Rolling Stones won Best Rock Album.
Yeah, that's
the same
exactly what I was
thing.
thinking about.
It's like,
and the Beatles were nominated the same year.
For an AI fucking song.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's insane.
there's a lot of good musicians right now who are making relevant stuff that is a lot better than these legacy acts, but the music industry is too uncomfortable to entertain the possibility that like the Rolling Stones aren't going to be the number one performing rock band of all time forever. Like they're going to die and there's going to be someone that replaces them, but it always happens
Hologram
way
Rolling
too
Stones.
late. Yeah. Which honestly at this point that's probably going to be a reality.
Yeah.
And they're going to be doing like fucking laser Mick Jagger at the fucking dome or whatever.
It's Futurama. Like 1,000 years from now, the celebrities will be Penn and Teller in a jar. Yeah. Quincy, we've never really talked about it, even though we're both tangential to technology, and this is a big talking point in our industry. But what is the like in the producer DJ world? What's the sentiment with AI? Would you say? Not good.
Absolutely not. Y'all know who Grimes is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Grimes made a whole album that was AI generated, and first of all, that shit sucked. I didn't like it at all. Like it was super trash. But like it's really weird because that entire album sounded like it was like like professionally made, and so we don't like AI in the DJ realm now because it just takes the art out of the craft. You know what I mean? So,
How do you feel about fucking Kanye using AI on his Bully album or whatever?
he's trash.
It just I'm trying to
Simple as that.
Trying to find anyone that thinks that that's a good idea. I haven't really found anyone yet,
idea.
Unfortunately.
It's a terrible idea, but he has to do it so he can stay relevant.
I guess so.
Yeah.
So he can continue to be edgy.
So he
Push
can
the art form.
Right.
defy the art form more.
Turns out being a Nazi has diminishing returns in terms of shocking people.
I think that the unfortunate thing with AI, and it's the thing that, a lot of people, I'll give Rick Beato credit for this, and I'll give, like Marquez Brownlee and a few other online personalities credit for noticing this early, but it's developed so quickly and it's rapidly evolved so much that people are very quickly losing the ability to tell what is AI and what is not AI. And a lot of AI is perpetrated as being not AI, which confuses, I think, a lot of people even more.
How often are you tricked by AI, though?
Me personally, I feel like not much, but I can definitely see how it's getting easier for people that don't pay as much attention or people that don't care as much about it to be tricked. Like, okay, so the other day I was watching a YouTube video. It was this dude who is like an automotive paint guy. He's like a body and paint guy. And the first comment that had like the most interactions seemed very real at first. It was just like, hey, I love your videos. I've been watching for 5 years. And then the paragraph underneath that was like, I'm 35 years old and I'm retired and I have a net worth of 300 million and I made it in 60 days and this is how. And then underneath that was like 200 replies from people that I swear to God were all also bots, like different accounts that were all bot accounts.
Well, that's been going on forever.
No,
that's just like the dead internet.
It's so convincing
theory
now
thing.
where it's like the first comment was like, oh my God, like if you don't mind me asking, how did you make your fortune? And then the next comment was from someone completely different. It was like, oh, I also have a similar story and I made my fortune from this person. And then the next 50 comments were like, oh, I've heard of that person. I've heard that they do really good things. And it was just like a recycling.
Just a bunch of Indian dudes on YouTube training the algorithm.
But it was terrifying because it was hundreds of comments from all different bots that, are probably linked to the same person or whatever. But any like 15-year-old kid or 14-year-old kid who's watching this dude do automotive paintwork, who might just happen to drag through a couple comments, would see like all of these interactions from what seem like real people that seem like a very legit thing, all culminating. And then I could definitely see
but don't you
younger
think
people,
anyone who's a little bit
or
savvy,
more naive people,
like with
getting fooled.
AI generated text like that, I think you can.
But it's getting more.
lacks
It's
humanity.
rapidly becoming less like template based and more like each bot is drafting like very unique comments and replies that specifically fit the content that's being
It's
posted.
getting better, but
So it's just getting harder to notice like, oh, these could all possibly be bots. Like obviously I think that they're bots. They might not even be bots. It could just be a bunch of like, could be one dude running 300 accounts and getting paid, marketing money to do so, or it could be like some other weird thing. But at the end of the day, like a month ago, the bot comments that I was seeing on most of the YouTube videos were just like, a chick with a really hot profile picture just commenting and being like, oh, I made this comment in under 24 hours, or like, who's gonna like this comment, gang, like shit like that. And now it's like full paragraph replies from bots being like, oh, I invested this much money into this account and I had this return at this time and it really works. And then replies to that like validate it.
Well, outside of the bots thing, the only people using AI for like any creative pursuit are just like absolute hack idiots and lack
I don't
creative.
think that's true either, though. Like we talked about this a few months ago, but Spotify fired like 150,000 creative members of their staff and replaced them all with AI, which are like doing marketing work.
How does that disprove the point I made?
Because those are all creative things, like making playlists.
No, I'm saying the people who are actually talented, the people who got fired from Spotify are not the ones interacting with AI or using AI.
Sure.
It's like idiots and talentless hacks who are actually using AI, like Grimes, to make a record, or to make a video.
Sure.
So in that way, I feel like AI content is more of a joke now than it ever was, despite the entire world seemingly having some sort of weird push behind everyone to accept and consume AI. And like the opposition to it, I feel like is stronger than ever right now.
Especially in the arts.
Yeah, in the arts, yeah.
Maybe I just have more fear of it like being something that gets harder to distinguish by the masses.
Which is reasonable. I mean, that's what will happen for sure.
And I think you do see some artists who already are using AI in certain contexts for promotion or for art or just for sake of, budgetary restraint or whatever. Like, I think it is something that even in the artistic community, people are starting to like use it in certain ways that they maybe thought they would never have used it before for the convenience of it and the cheapness of it. And I think that that's just like a really slippery slope. And I think that there's a lot of people now who like, I hate that it's the most relevant example, but like Kanye, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I feel like Kanye would have been like, fuck AI, I'm never using AI. But it only takes a certain amount of influence and platform and financial compensation for someone of that prowess or power within the arts to change their mind. And I do feel like that is still a possibility.
But isn't it funny that the least respected person in music right now is the one who went to AI?
But
isn't
I
that
also
ultimately
do think,
more damaging?
But there's a lot of people younger than us who I know listen to like all that newer Kanye and they like don't care about the AI part of it. It doesn't matter. It's Kanye. It's a good song.
Right,
like
exactly.
I don't give a shit that it has AI in it. people our age. Well, I don't want to make this purely about age, because obviously there's a lot of people younger than us that obviously do still care about artistic integrity, and there's people older than us that don't care about artistic integrity. But just very generally speaking, like the TikTok generation is way more prone to, I think, not care about that or notice the implications that it has when it's integrated into art so heavily.
Yeah.
And I do think it changes so rapidly. Like a year ago, people were saying, oh, AI could never take over entire facets of the job market. Oh, AI could never make a whole song or make a whole video or make a whole movie that's convincing. And now it's only a year later and AI is doing literally all those things
It
to a certain extent.
technically does those things, but
Yeah.
again,
Depends on the audience.
yeah.
Which is a scary thing, because again, it's not whether or not the audience notices that it's AI, it's whether or not the audience gives a shit that it's AI or not. And over time, I think people are just going to stop caring so much.
Well, so again, recommending that YouTube doc, Cultural Nihilism and the Rise of the Grifter. And that's kind of a point that he makes, is that everyone's brain is just being so worn down by short form content. Clip this, by the way. This is the clip for that. And
Follow Kadzo!
that it's just, eventually all we care about is going to be being distracted and getting some sort of dopamine response. And that's what AI is great for, making just shit content to distract you.
Yeah, and I hate to like be redundant, but it's getting more convincing. Like,
Yeah.
and to bring it back to YouTube for a second, specifically automotive YouTube, there's entire automotive YouTube channels that are fully AI, where it's like, this is the history of the Ford GT, but the whole video is made by AI, and it's narrated by AI. All the visuals are from AI. Like, the whole thing was made by like a fucking computer.
And you watch it?
And no, but people do.
do.
Like, it has like the Bugatti one
Or
has
bots
300 million
watching it.
views, but it doesn't matter if it's bots or not. It confuses the algorithm.
Right.
YouTube thinks that that's a real content creator now and promotes their videos and works them into the algorithm. And it has some genuine interactions, and most of them are probably 10-year-old kids who are like, oh my God, I love Bugattis, but then there's also the bots who are like, I made 400,000 by typing my mom's credit card number into a fucking website, and here's how you can do the same thing. Like, it's in my eyes feels very dystopian. I don't feel super
for
optimistic
sure.
about it.
Yeah, hard to feel optimistic about
Anything.
anything these days.
Facts.
And that cheery note, no, I don't know. It's crazy. And I'll make a point on Connor's behalf. We recorded an episode with Connor last week, who lives in California, and he was like, we were talking about all the crazy stuff going on in the world. He's like, oh, it's nice to be in a California bubble. There's nothing going on in California. And the episode came out
don't know
today.
why he
And
thought-
Connor was like, oh, I just realized I said there's nothing crazy going on in California.
Oh my god.
So on Connor's behalf, just adding some context to that point. But
Hopefully by the time this one comes out, things are settled a little bit more. We're kind of in the thick of it right now.
There's a big protest happening in Denver today. You guys see that?
I was gonna probably pull up if we weren't doing this, honestly, because
We're doing our bit here.
I don't post things on like my story or on social media in general about politics, really, because what's the fucking point? Like,
Right.
you're not going to change anything by putting something on your story, and it's an echo chamber anyway. The people that follow me generally agree with the things that I say and think, and the people that don't agree with me don't follow me, so they won't see things that could possibly change their opinion. So there's no point. I don't want to contribute to the echo chamber. But this podcast is not an echo chamber. This is an actual piece of media that we present to the world humbly every week. So I just want to say, fuck ICE. Fuck the DEA. Fuck immigration in general. And I think people that peacefully protest that might accidentally or purposely set a couple pieces of governmental property on fire or throw some rocks at some government property, like, that's not the same thing as putting human lives in danger. That is political speech, and that's protected by the First Amendment. And Donald Trump is breaking the rules, breaking the laws by sending in Homeland Security and all that bullshit. And
He's sending
it's
the
fucked.
Marines too.
Yeah, it's fucked. It's dystopian. Anyone who voted for him that thinks that that's the right thing to do, that also thinks that you didn't break any rules on January 6th, and also those people weren't insurrectionists. If you can't see your hypocrisy, from the bottom of my heart, fuck you. You're a piece of shit, and you're part of the huge problem that's occurring right now in this country.
Stephen Miller might be the most comically obvious villain to ever exist.
He looks
in
like
the
he
government.
was drawn or like devised by a studio.
And behaves like that. Talks like that. Yeah. That dude sucks.
And this is kind of old news at this point also, but with the Elon Musk thing, like all those Republicans, conservatives that were coming to Elon to defend him and suck up to him and buying Teslas and protecting Tesla dealerships and all that bullshit. I hope you can now see also how fake and self-serving that whole part of the political cycle was for Donald Trump. And the only reason they intertwined to begin with was because Elon gave the Trump campaign a bunch of money, which was a huge part of the reason why he won. And Elon was trying to serve himself with his government position. And when that didn't work out, he left and is trying to burn bridges because Donald Trump is a fucking horrible person. And anyone who interacts with him, I feel like on any level, would know that immediately. So yeah, the level of ignorance and just turning a blind eye to what's going on is astounding.
Julian, you've probably never seen any high agency alpha males duke it out, and it shows.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to.
What's the when was the last time you were in Houston?
February.
Because I'm just thinking like we're in a pretty liberal bubble here. Houston, definitely. Well, Houston's kind of a little red or a blue dot in a red state, right?
Yeah. Like big cities like Dallas, Houston, Austin, they're all like blue dots in a red.
Dallas is, even though I always thought Dallas was real conservative.
So Dallas has two parts. There's Dallas and then there's Fort Worth. Fort Worth is the conservative part. Dallas is the liberal part. So yeah, they're all just like blue dots in the sea of rednecks and conservative nonsense people.
Last time you were in Houston, was there any sort of obvious vibe shift from everything that's going on, or is it more or less the same?
It's more or less the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, Texans in general just lean towards more conservative. But, like, living in Houston, though, most of the people are like, no, we wanted Kamala to win and stuff like that. They're, like, leaning very progressive now. But yeah, for the most part, it's always been the same.
Well, part of what's so disturbing about LA, and there's many, is that we have a sheltered existence here, as I was saying. We have things pretty good. And so after being worn down by the media so long with everything that's going on both sides, I almost started to think everything seems okay, actually. In the States, like in our media lives, and perhaps like this is just some sort of, obviously the administration we have today is bad, but is everything just a media ploy to keep us worried and all this? And you could kind of convince yourself that everything was going to be okay. And then now this is happening. You're like, oh, okay, yes, shit is actually hitting the fan. LA has been impacted significantly by what's going on. There's like physical evidence now that shit's actually going down.
Mm-hmm. And with LA specifically too, it's already such a politically charged area,
right?
That I think Donald Trump obviously sending National Guard and military and all that is more of a political statement than it is an actual effort to necessarily keep citizens safe, because California is seen as such a far left progressive,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And especially by conservatives, lawless kind of state where people just do whatever the fuck they want. So that narrative of having to send the National Guard in plays into conservatives even more. It's like, this is a lawless country. People destroy things, hurt people out of malice for president and the At the end of the day, that's not really true. We don't necessarily live in a bubble. Most of the country is not in political uprising, or
Yeah.
a large part of the country is just chilling right now. But the like far left versus far right ideology is, I think, what the government wants right now, to split people further apart. And California is just like the perfect breeding ground for something like that. Oh, it's all blue, no Holly weird, no Republicans, fentanyl, Mexicans, all that bullshit. But at the end of the day, like, we were having political protests, peaceful marches in Fort Collins on a weekly basis for a good couple months there after everything went down. And there's not like that there's not like the desire to like push the scale one way or another in an area like this. Let's send a couple Homeland Security agents to Fort Collins to intimidate and like spark unrest. Like, that doesn't happen here.
But what's going on is
larger,
a massive spectacle by the right wing to appease, the idiot masses out there. And if you're prone to conspiracy theory, what I've heard some people say is this is on the heels of the Elon split and Elon accusing Trump of being in the Epstein files.
Totally.
So it's convenient timing to have a, big news story that was very obviously triggered intentionally by Trump administration.
Yeah. And you can't rule anything like that out. It's not necessarily even a conspiracy, because there's documented evidence of
Right.
both the Trump organization and then also Democratic organizations doing the exact same thing in times of political unrest, trying to just shift the narrative slightly one way or another. Meanwhile, what is it, like 60,000 Gazans have died in the last 3 months, and the media is covering what's going on in LA at a way higher clip, which obviously it's something that's happening domestically, so they should be covering it, but I think it's a distraction ploy from multiple angles, right? There's the Trump organization is feeling a lot of pressure, Gaza, about Ukraine, about the economy, about immigration, and they're not really making any progress anywhere. So it's like, let's just, distract people with a huge domestic disturbance type thing, and then make it seem like it's, like a democratic insurrection, which obviously it's not. And anyone who has any slight duality of viewpoints.
Yeah. When we're talking politics, I suppose today on podcadzo.
Talked a little bit of everything. We talked some Bono.
Yeah, check. We made Quincy listen to us talk about Bono. Check. That was on the show map.
We were going to talk about that, I think, no matter what. Whether or not Quincy was here, Bono was going to get brought up. So,
what?
Sorry,
Any hot
part of that.
Any hot news stories you've been focusing on in the musical world?
Deadmau5 is beefing with James Hype.
Oh yeah,
There's EDM beef now.
Yeah, there's EDM beef. So, whatchamacallit? Deadmau5 made this claim that, like, at large music festivals like EDC, DJs don't really DJ because, like, they have to record a pre-recorded set so that the lighting guys can sync with the music. James Hype was like, fuck you mean by that? Like, no, that's not true. We actually are DJing up there on that stage. And so because of that, they've been going back and forth. Yeah, they've been going back and forth about, oh, well, that's, that's not true. You're not, oh no, James Hype is like, oh, no, that's not true. You're not a real DJ, and yada, yada, yada. Because there's like this big old thing in the EDM world. It's like, are DJs really DJing, right? Like, there's even a song that a DJ made of a girl that was complaining about real DJing. And so, like,
I think I saw that.
Yeah. So that's the reason why they're beefing, is that they think that they have two different styles of DJing and how they prepare for their shows, and then they're clashing about that. That's all it is. So it's a petty beef, in my opinion.
Being fought over social media. Okay.
On TikTok.
To getting heated. Pretty tame.
It's pretty tame.
That's another
That
part
is
of
kind of a-
cultural stagnation and just how sterilized everything is that I'm not wishing violence upon Drake or Kendrick Lamar, but how insane is it that no one got shot or stabbed and we still were like, oh, this is such a crazy beef.
Drake, I thought someone from Drake's camp got shot. Like one of Drake's security guards got shot or something at some point.
I can't remember.
Indirect.
Not necessarily indirect connection to all that, but it was at the same time as all that stuff was going down. Like,
Yeah. I'm not saying violence is a good thing, and I'm not wishing it in the Drake and Kendrick beef, but, beefs of old, it would...
On Tuesday, May 7th, 2024, a security guard was shot outside Drake's Toronto mansion. The incident occurred around 2 a.m. local time. The guard was struck by multiple gunshot wounds and was in serious condition at the hospital.
This was outside his mansion?
This was like right outside his mansion.
Don't they have a photo of that?
There was like a video or like something, pictures. But it probably wasn't someone like directly connected to Kendrick Lamar, but it was probably someone who just heard about all that shit and was like, man, fuck Drake, and got mad.
Yeah. No, but to attempt to solidify my point.
Which was
because
wrong.
Again, which was ultimately wrong. Because I honestly don't want to say like, oh, there should be, violence in rap beefs. But it does a lot to propel your career. And
Sure.
there should be some price to pay. I'm just joking.
So what you saying? You saying
I was going to make a point about how it relates to the cultural stagnation, but I don't know if I can land that plane right now.
I mean, it does though a little bit because it's like the most insane really thing that happened in the music business the last 2 years was that beef.
Yeah.
Which wasn't even really that big of a deal.
And it just
in the
reached
grand
a
scheme of
point,
things.
its climax, and then just plateaued there. It was kind of stagnant.
Yeah, but Not Like Us is still probably on the fucking top 40.
Oh yeah,
and
it definitely
like
is. It definitely is.
song's
They
not
play
even
it in
that
the
good,
club
really.
all the time.
Hey, yeah, it's pretty weird. I think with Kendrick, he's like the new Jay-Z. He's the new mogul, where like and Drake obviously is a mogul too, but like, the things that Drake did and continues to do throughout all of this are like self-serving.
Yeah.
And Kendrick is like doing it for the betterment of the rap game, which that's like what rap beefs are supposed to be for,
Right.
I guess.
He bringing real rap back.
Yeah.
I saw a thing that he didn't let Lefty Gunner on stage.
Ooh. Why?
I don't know. I think it was probably just it probably wasn't arranged. Views from it.
Have either of y'all checked out the new Lil Wayne yet?
No.
I skimmed over it.
I skimmed it as well.
Yeah,
How is it?
It seems pretty solid.
it's okay. It's
It's a bit all over the place.
It's not Carter 3 though.
No, there's never going to be another Carter 3. There's also a Bono feature on it.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, dude. There's a straight Bono feature. They tried to go like, what's the Damn song that has Bono? But it's a bit more rocking than that one.
Is it something America? America's sound.
It doesn't matter.
I'll find it.
But yeah, that was very interesting to me. I thought Bono's definitely having a moment right now. Whether or not you love him or hate him, he's got the Songs of Surrender thing.
Yeah.
He was just on Joe Rogan, which I thought was very interesting.
I haven't watched.
I watched the whole thing, or I listened to the whole thing.
It's on my list.
It's about 3 hours long.
Yeah,
and it's
I saw
about
that.
2 hours and 45 minutes of Bono and 15 of Joe Rogan, which is fine
The way
with
it
me.
should be.
I personally can't fucking stand Joe Rogan most of the time. Occasionally he is tolerable for short periods of time, but most of the time I just can't fucking stand anything he has to say. And it's kind of the same for Bono too, where it's like short spurts are fine, but a long period it's like, man, just shut up. But it was honestly pretty interesting. They talked a lot about like the show, obviously, or I guess I should say the film. They talk some politics. And they also talk a lot about just like random U2 garbage. It was a pretty interesting podcast, to be honest. But that's as someone who likes Bono. But that's just to say he's kind of everywhere right now. And U2 doesn't have an album coming out. He did say in the Rogan episode that they're working on new music.
That's what hipped me to him being on Joe Rogan at all. Was I saw an article. Bono teases new too
He
on Joe Rogan.
confirmed
I was like,
pretty much
Bono
all
was on
but
Joe
confirmed a new album.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's big for us,
Huge.
dude. That's going to give us so much content.
And he said also in the pod, he was like, I'm done, like looking back, I'm done living in the past. I'm going to try to just live in the moment now. But it was like everything that you have done for the last 7 years has been about looking strictly into the past.
Yeah,
so we'll
true.
see how you hold up to that.
Yeah. Let's pause for 1 sec. I got to pee. We back.
Pee break.
You ever listen to Joe Rogan? Did you ever?
No.
You never got caught up in the manosphere?
I would never watch nor listen to that shit.
Not even if someone that you really like was on it.
If no one I like is on that show, right? Who are you talking about?
Bernie Sanders was on it.
Yeah.
I listened to the Bernie one.
This is something I've never discussed on the podcast and have debated ever bringing up, but I listened pretty regularly to Joe Rogan back in like 2016, 2017 when podcasting was very young.
It was still kind of less of an agenda pushy podcast.
And not only that, but I did get caught up in the kind of it wasn't like the manosphere like it is now, but I got caught up in like that productivity, grinding.
The grind set,
biohacking sort of stuff.
Andrew Tate?
No, never Andrew Tate.
Okay, thank God.
Nothing too serious. My thing was why I listened to Joe Rogan at all and started listening to podcasts was I was in college then. Had a lot of time between classes, walking between buildings, killing time. So I started looking at podcasts. Joe Rogan had a lot of people I was interested in hearing from on the podcast. So I just started listening to him with, a little bit of regularity. And then from there I got I never was like full on like the Gary V like grind set thing. I always thought that dude was a fucking idiot. But my thing was I was in college and so stressed out all the time. And I just thought I was in my mind, like preparing to be an adult and like enter the workforce. I have to, grow as a person and improve and adopt some sort of mindset that will help me get through this. And all that like productivity hacking stuff was a convenient thing to latch onto that could give me some comfort sometimes. So, I was never I wasn't starting my own businesses in college like that, my own drop shipment places or digital marketing firms. But I was a little bit on that tip. College.
Yeah, no, I couldn't watch that show. It was so stupid.
It has, despite
sorry, that shit was so stupid.
I agree. I fully agree. It's a very dumb show.
Yeah.
And I think that's not why I don't like it. I like a lot of podcasts that are pretty dumb and like largely pointless or whatever, but his like purposely pushes misinformation and generally confuses a pretty young audience into thinking that misinformation is like the real world and that like anything that you think is true can be true for you, which is like, nah, dog, that's like some weak ass bullshit. Like if you're a big tough man, then you should be able to handle when things aren't like exactly aligning with your worldview, and like you should be able to adjust and adapt. But every now and then someone does come on where it's like, like Bono.
Bono. I don't think hear Bono talk for 3 hours.
Yeah, I've never seen Bono. There's lots of well, there's lots of media of Bono, but not necessarily a lot of press he just sits down in front of a microphone for like.
Except for you talking U2 to me.
Which that was over 10 years ago. So.
What was I going to say on the show has always been dumb, and he's not a gifted long form interviewer. He's good at just talking for sure. So yeah, that's like I can say, oh yeah, I was into Rogan, but that was before he was like the Rogan we know today. But the show was always bad, and that's what gives me shame about. Not shame, but
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
we also, I mean, like when we started this podcast, I was like super into like Your Mom's House and like Two Bears, One Cave. And it kind of, the same thing happened to me with those podcasts where it was like, I was super into them because I thought that it was like good podcasting format and somewhat fresh material. But the longer you listen to it, the more you realize, wait, this is actually just like recycling the same shit over and over again, and it's not creative, and it's actually pretty reductive to comedy, and also to just like people in general who have different viewpoints. And then you just realize, like, no, this actually isn't for me, and then you just kind of unplug from it.
Do you ever watch any of those YouTube channels that are just like devoted to talking shit about Rogan and the Rogan sphere?
No. There's
There's a bunch of those people, like Elephant Graveyard is one of them. He made this YouTube documentary thing called The Comedy Czar, the decline of comedy or something. It's about Joe Rogan and the Rogan sphere and all that. Pretty interesting. They're entertaining views. They're mostly just shitting on like Brendan Schaub and stuff like that, which never gets old. But that dude's from Aurora.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I did.
Isn't that funny?
It is. There's a lot of weirdly kind of relevant content that comes out of Colorado right now.
In the comedy space, it's him. It's Dan Soder, who I like.
Yeah, Dan Soder's funny.
And then TJ Miller is another Denver comedian, although he's older.
Yeah, yeah. And I think Dan Soder, he was on the road with someone pretty famous for like about 6 months recently. I don't remember who, but yeah, he's blowing up. Or he has been blowing up for a while now, I guess.
He's good. You guys ever watch the show Billions?
Never heard of Billions.
Pretty good show. Soder was in that one.
Okay. I need to really catch up on TV, man. I'm so far behind.
Yeah.
I've not been watching TV at all.
As much as I complain about being like busy all the time, I do manage to watch a lot of TV and movies. But that's built into my schedule. I have to do that. I have to watch TV and movies.
For
So
why?
it keeps the creative juices going.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
True.
It's the only way I can unwind.
I don't know about you guys, but I have been struggling to connect to like new music this year.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time finding new shit that's like exciting to me.
Yeah. Well, I'll say like the one time I got excited that of a song drop this year was this is very off, but Rihanna's new track that she made for the new Smurfs movie.
Oh, yeah, that one.
That's just actually really good. I'm not gonna lie to you. It has like
Probably heard that once.
it has like a house beat to it, and I'm just like, ooh, this is nice. You know?
Friend of mine.
Oh yeah, I did
Yep,
check that
friend of
track
mine.
out.
Yeah, it's a really good track.
I do want to mention the new Mariah Carey single also.
What?
It's
Did she drop? Wait, when she dropped something?
It came out June 6th, so like 4 days ago.
What the
But
hell?
she's dropping a whole album and it's produced by Anderson .Paak.
No way.
And the single is fucking fire. It's called
Type Dangerous?
Type Dangerous.
Okay.
It's
I can't wait to listen to
really,
this.
really good song.
Produced by Anderson .Paak. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it seems like he probably co-wrote a lot of the. No, I guess I can't say a lot of the songs, but at least the single, it's like it sounds like an Anderson .Paak kind of song, but
Damn.
with Mariah vocals, it's really, really good.
Okay, that's another one I'm excited for.
The things are looking up.
Yeah, maybe slightly.
Have you connected with the Pulp album? Have you listened to that all the way
Oh
through
no,
yet?
I didn't know it was out yet.
Yeah, it dropped on Friday.
Oh shit, no, I'll go.
I'm a
at
huge
it.
fan.
I definitely wanted to check it
Talk
out.
about cultural stagnation, though. Yeah, the only new music I've gotten into was
band
my
from
favorite
the early
band from
90s.
the 90s.
Well, wasn't there a band that just released a new album, but they went like completely mainstream now? I'm trying to remember who it was. It was like I think it was a metal band, if I recall. Let me see who it is.
The only one I'm thinking of that could fit that is Turnstile.
No.
But
I'm not that big into Turnstile.
Yeah.
I respect Turnstile a lot. Like, I think that what they do for hardcore and the scene in general is really important and powerful, and I definitely have a lot of respect for them. I just don't love their music. I'm excited for the new record because I've heard that it's a fair bit different from the last few.
I liked the Never Enough single enough.
I don't even remember if I listened to the whole thing, to be honest. I saw them perform it on, what was it, like Fallon?
Yeah.
And that was cool. But I liked their stage design more than I liked the song. I don't know what it is with them. I think it's just like slightly more watered down than the hardcore that I like.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's why I was, because the single Never Enough is definitely very mainstream alt rock.
For sure. And that's kind of what I heard in the direction for the album is kind of supposed to be.
That's why I thought maybe that's what Quincy was talking about. But did you see Hayley Williams has been going on stage with Turnstile? Or maybe she just did once.
She did once, and I think she has done that in the past too.
Yeah, but she said something like, Turnstile is my generation. I forget which band she compared it to, but
quote,
yeah. I was like, oh, interesting. Okay. Someone in the game, in the industry.
Yeah.
Turnstile with that much admiration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, it's kind of obvious, but Paramore paved the way for a lot of modern day hardcore and like post-punk in like so many ways. By marrying it with that kind of somewhat pop format, but still keeping it to the roots of hardcore and stuff like that. I also think Turnstile was a good indicator of like right place, right time, because they also kind of blew up during the revival of emo.
Yeah.
When people are already looking for that like nostalgic bug to be itched a little bit, they popped through with new stuff.
I just remember that was a weird Grammys a couple of years ago where like best rock album nominees were Idols and Turnstile.
Yeah.
And then like an Ozzy Osbourne track too. Man, rock is weird right now.
Yeah.
It's cool that Idols and Turnstile can be nominated,
cool.
but
it's like, I don't know. I hate to sound elitist as like a heavy music person because I'm not really even someone who knows that much heavy music at the end of the day, but I think that it's a bit of a bummer for the best examples of like hardcore and post-punk to be Idols and Turnstile.
Yeah.
Because there's just a lot of bands that do the heavy element of that way better. But the heavier it gets, the more it scares the mainstream. The mainstream likes a little bit of heavy to like feel edgy, to feel like they're promoting something that's outside of the norm. But then when it actually gets to be outside of the norm, they're like, oh, that's just too much for me. Which, I guess that's more with metal necessarily than it is like emo and hardcore and post-punk and all that stuff. Post-punk has basically just been pop music since 2004 at this point.
True. Did you find the band?
No, I didn't. Couldn't.
It'll come to you at like midnight.
Yeah.
Probably.
Glad it didn't post.
I know the album cover is like a purple album cover, but I just can't remember what it was.
You know, I meant to bring this up a few weeks ago, and I keep forgetting. Do you know Backcountry New Road? Is it Backcountry New Road or Black Country New Road? Do you know them?
Country New Road, no.
They're like a band that's been blowing up, I would say, for the last few years now, like getting generally
they're
more
blowing
popular,
up and then like disbanded.
and a lot of critical acclaim. Like the critics fucking love them. I saw them open up for St. Vincent, like what was that? 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
Yeah,
it's like probably the worst set I've seen in a
really.
minute.
Wow,
so bad. So like it was so just like self-indulgent and like it was like pretending to be like smart guy music, but it was like just so. It was like I can't explain it. It was so just self-fulfilling and like
I was gonna
you
go
could
to
tell
that
they were
show.
just trying to be like
Yeah,
outside of whatever.
I was gonna go to that show mostly because I love St. Vincent, but what was pushing me over was Black Country New Roads because I was curious what they'd be like live.
It was like a solid set. They played good, but their music is just so
Yeah, I wasn't that into the
Pointless.
new album.
such pointless music.
Yeah,
It's like it wants to be proggy, but it wants to be mainstream, and it wants to be pretty, but it also wants to be weird. And it's like there's just way too much going on. And this is someone who like I like prog. I like music that is changing and evolving frequently, but it's just it was like way too strokey of its own ego. Where it's just like, yeah, we're just like thoughtful, we're introspective, we're different from most bands. And then, you know, St. Vincent came out and is like actually all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So St. Vincent was good. It was a good show.
Oh, it was so good. She played a lot of the new record, like mostly new record, and then a lot of Mass Seduction, which was what I was there for.
We were throwing a surprise like bridal shower thing for Julia the night of that show, and I got her to block it on her calendar saying, "Oh, we're going to the St. Vincent show that night," which we didn't actually go to.
Yeah, would have been cool if you did.
But during the whole event, I was like, "I wonder."
It was a pretty fire show.
Well, Quincy, anything to plug?
House on Tap.
House on Tap, July 6th. Come through Breckenridge Brewery from noon to 4. Then I got a show at the Atrium July 5th. So come check that out. It'll be cool. And then I got a gig recently, like yesterday, at a venue that I cannot tell you about yet until June 30th. So
Stay posted.
Mysterious.
yeah.
All right, follow Quincy on the socials then. At Chief OG.
Chief OJIH.
Yeah, right on. Well, thanks, brother, for being on the show.
Thanks for coming back.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.